Hi, everybody. Good evening. Today we're going to be talking about work and life balance. So, welcome. If you're new here on my page, I would like to welcome you all. And let me introduce myself before we get started. I'm Ter Avest. I'm a professional organizer here in Baltimore, Maryland. And I usually help families and busy women to organize their homes so they can enjoy their free time doing the things that they love. I also have a Facebook group called Baltimore Home Organizing Challenge, and there I give people tips on how to organize. And every week, every Friday, we have a challenge where I give some challenge for 10-15 minutes that you can organize your home. And that way, by the end of the year, you're supposed to have a very organized house. And also, I like to help other people accountable for doing things like this. I offer in-home services. I'm waiting for Liz to get online, and I think she's gonna just say hi to me when she gets here. So while I'm waiting for her, if you're here to check her out and her tips as well, just hang in there. We're trying to get her in, but let me tell you a little bit more about my services while we wait. So what I usually do, I see home clients in home. I also offer do-it-yourself plans, how to organize. So I go to their home and write up the whole plan for them to organize their home. And also I do live coach, call like we're doing it right now. So I usually the clients show me their space and we can get organized. So today as I said, we're gonna be talking about work and life balance, and Liz is gonna give us some tips on how to get things straight out. I'm waiting for her to get here. Whenever she's here, I'm gonna bring her in, and hopefully it's gonna work. Facebook change things all the time. We were just trying right now how to get this working. So I apologize if it's the delay and everything, but we're trying. So Liz, let me just send her a message here. So yeah, we're waiting here for her to get here. But you guys can let me know if you guys have any questions about how what are you struggling with about getting yourself the balance that you need in your life. Do you have any question for her? So whenever she's here, I can ask her. You guys can type it in, or you can just give me a like if you listen and you hear and you having the same problems as I have. Sometimes it's very hard to not get too overwhelmed with all the things you have to do, like seeing clients, working and taking care of the house and things like that. So if you have the same, just give me a thumbs up there so I know you guys are on the same page. But yeah, let me see if she's on already. So Lee saying work and life balance is watching this instead of working on my dissertation proposal. Yeah, thank you for being here and supporting us. We really appreciate this. Let me see. So Liz, if you are there, if you're listening to me, I just need for you to say hi so I can bring you in the chat with me. I see you. Okay, so I'm gonna bring you. Can introduce yourself.
Hi.
Hey Liz. Hi, thank you for being here. We made it.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah, that's good. I was just introducing myself so people could know more about me and what I do. So now, would you introduce yourself and tell them a little bit about you and your services and how you see your clients?
Yeah, so I am a clinical social worker. I'm a therapist and I have a private practice in Towson. And my business is Parisos Therapy. Parisos is a Greek word which means abundantly exceeding expectations. So it's essentially my goal to help people feel like they're living life more fully, managing stress, anxiety. I particularly love working with moms that are trying to manage the work-life balance and take care of themselves and take care of their families. So that's what I do.
Thank you so much for sharing all your expertise with us tonight.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'm glad to be here.
Okay. Yeah. So where should we start to have like a balanced life?
So I think one of the things, and you and I have talked about this before, is kind of identifying your priorities and values, which isn't going to look the same for everybody, and thinking about sort of what your definition of success is and what does that mean to you, so that you can sort of sort out which things are most important for you to invest your time in. I go to a networking group where they use this. Can you see this? So it's an upside down triangle, and work and personal are at the top, and the bottom is me. So basically, if you're not doing well with yourself, the other things are going to go off tilter. And the personal is kind of like everybody else in your life, like your family, friends, separate from just how you're doing. So thinking about how you sort of want to manage all of those things and prioritize where you spend your time, what your values are, and what your definition of success is, like what's the ideal number of clients, what are your kind of long-term goals, professionally and personally.
Yeah, that makes totally sense, because sometimes a definition of success to me for another professional organizer might be totally different.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And it might be different in different phases of life too. I mean, young kids that you're taking care of versus if you have kids that are in high school, and that your time with them and your commitments to them look different. So your time for work and home that balance might be different.
And what are your best tips on like how to set up the boundaries?
So I think that setting boundaries is one of the most overlooked ways to manage stress, because I think we tend to have this like gut reaction that we should say yes to everything socially, professionally, and you don't have to say yes to everything. It's okay to kind of think about how you're using your time and what you're saying no to, and thinking about, is it something that really has to be done or something that you really want to do versus something you feel obligated to do, and kind of going through that checklist. Or is it something that maybe could be put off, so it doesn't have to happen right now, but it could happen, maybe next week or next month, so that you don't feel overloaded with your time. And I think we have a tendency to kind of feel guilty about not saying no to things, but it is okay. If you're taking care of your family and your work and yourself, then you can't do it all. Nobody has infinite amounts of time. So
yeah, that's true. I usually when I'm like doing my schedule and things like that, I usually try to set up like I put myself first on my schedule, and I add all the things afterwards, because if I don't do that, me time is going to be more complicated to fit in.
yes.
Is that you do as well?
Yes. And actually, I remember when you said that, when we've talked about this before and have shared that with people. And I feel like every time I say that to somebody, jaws just drop open. Like it's okay to set my personal time or my self-care time first before everything else. And I think especially if there's other people in your life you're taking care of, and whether you're a mom or not, that we feel like we can't set that time first. But really, we have to take care of ourselves to be able to do all the other things that we're committed to in our lives. So I think it's actually a really good thing for the other people in your life, if you take that time to prioritize the self-care.
Yeah. And what are the best ways that you find to identify your priorities and values?
I think thinking about kind of what balance you want to have, what is important to you in terms of how much time you're spending with people in your personal life versus how much time you're spending in your professional life, and kind of what you want to be doing with your professional life, and how much time, like we've talked about sort of ideal number of clients, and sort of how to make your perfect balance for what's the ideal number of hours or time you're spending at work versus time at home. And then being able to turn it off when you're at home, being able to set your phone aside. Maybe that amount of time at home isn't super long or as much as you would like, but the quality of the time is really important. And so if you can disconnect from the technology while you're home with your family, then that can make a huge difference.
Yeah, you have to think about things that make you happy and find that right number for
Yes.
you. Is that right?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. And when you work a lot and you like stressed out about things, do you have any tip or examples on how to prevent burnouts?
I think just thinking about that you do need to build in that time for self-care and being able to kind of like have a balance and take a step back when you need to. Thinking about ways to kind of plan ahead so that you don't have to be mentally overloaded all the time can be really helpful. Um, and just being able to, let me see if I had any other notes. Like, I think the boundary piece too, of just being able to say no when you're starting to feel really overloaded so that you can get the time to kind of regroup and reset so that you can do what you need to do well.
Does saying no get easier by the time, like in practice?
I think,
Because like sometimes you want to say
yeah,
yes for everything, you
yeah,
know?
yeah, and I think that's easy to do. I think learning to not overschedule and not overcommit does get easier because you find that I think initially people feel guilty or they feel like they're going to hurt somebody's feelings or they just feel like they're missing out or they feel like we're not doing enough. We're not doing enough to take care of our families or to take care of our homes or whatever. So I think adjusting your expectations so that you are a little bit more realistic about what can you actually manage makes it easier, and practicing and knowing that it's not the end of the world if you miss something. You know, you'll have other opportunities. Thinking about things that you maybe said yes to in the past that were an overcommitment and knowing what that feels like and reminding yourself the next time makes it a little bit easier, kind of learning from your mistakes.
Yeah, that makes sense. And whenever you was something that I always tell my clients, it's something about like meal planning. It's such like a easy thing to do and saves you a lot of like time
Yeah.
and money,
Yeah.
and also like from stressing over what are you gonna make that night.
Yeah.
So like having a schedule for what you're gonna make, I think it's very important.
Yeah.
Do you meal plan?
Yes, I do. And I love your suggestions on meal planning where keeping like a theme for every night. And I've shared
Yeah.
with clients as well, because I think that just takes the mental load off. And so it saves you less time and stress thinking about what to buy and what to cook and how to prepare and how much time. And, you know, because if you're only home with your family for a couple hours in the evenings, like even 20 minutes of cooking dinner, which doesn't seem like a lot, is a big chunk of that time you're home each evening.
Mm-hmm.
So being able to prepare that ahead of time, I'm a big fan of the crock pot. So everything is just ready when you walk in the door and you're good to go.
Yeah, that's true. And what else? Oh, do you have another tip or how to like manage this and anything you want to share with us? Because like I feel that as mom especially, we feel a lot like guilty when you're not paying attention 100% of your time on your kids or enjoying time with your family. And how do you support women that come to you with that challenge in their lives?
Yeah, I mean, I think so many people feel like that. I think it's definitely heavy for women and particularly for moms, but being able to kind of think about your overall, the big picture of what's going on in your life. And so maybe you feel really pressured, like I need to check this email or do this or do that tonight, and your attention is taken away when you're home. But if you think about the big picture of the week, does that really need to be done tonight? Or do you have more time maybe on Thursday that you could do it? And, you know, even going through your month. So the planning and scheduling and kind of looking at your overall time that you have and when you can move things around so that you can be present when you're with your family, I think is important.
Yeah, I remember you saying something about our like women brain that we like have everything mixed it in there. And can you tell people that are watching us a
Yeah.
little bit about that?
Yeah. So the example that I always tell people is that women's brains are like a big mesh ball of wire and everything is all like crisscross. And we're thinking about 20,000 different things all at the same time. We call it the mental load a lot. There's a lot of research on that. That is different than men's brains, which my description is that they're little boxes. And so they have all these little boxes of categories. And my husband says that one of those is a nothing box where he literally thinks about nothing, which I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
And so just being able to like to organize things, to adjust the expectations. Like, you don't need to do all of those things. You can, I think we feel like, again, like there's this pressure. Are we doing enough? Are we doing enough for our kids? Are we doing enough at work? And is that really realistic right now in this phase of your life or this period of your life? You don't have to do it all. But also the organizing, kind of thinking about how you're planning those things and what you need to do when, and tracking that, whatever works for you. I'm a big fan of kind of like adapting, planning, and scheduling to what works for you. So if you use a Google Calendar and that works, like stick with that. If you use a paper planner and that works, if you use lists, Post-its, whatever is best for you to make it something that you're actually going to be able to kind of follow through, I think is the way to go.
Yeah, you have to see the systems that actually work for you and your family.
Yeah.
And go with them. That's one thing that sometimes like clients come to me and ask me like, okay, can you organize something for us? Let's say my pantry. And said, yeah, how long is it going to take? What systems are you going to use? And said, everything, it will depend on your family, your needs. And so whenever you see something online on Pinterest or something like that, and you say, oh, I think that's going to work for my family, but it's not a one size fits all.
Exactly.
Like you have to see what works for your family, what best for you and your family, and then go with it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I tell people this all the time, like we're all individuals, and however many people are in your family or your home, that's, an individual grouping made up of separate people. And so it's a unique pairing or grouping, and the same thing is not going to work for everybody. And that's okay. I think we fall into the comparison trap a lot of like, well, this person is doing it this way, but if that's not what's working for your family, then that's not the way you have to do it.
Yeah, that's true. So first thing, like let's say think about yourself first.
Yes.
Say no to things.
Yes.
Set boundaries that you can.
Yes.
Meal planning, it's a good thing.
Yeah, definitely planning and prepping as much as you can in your house.
Yeah. So let me check if there's like some people like asking questions or something. Oh, there are some people. Amy just said hi, ladies, and
hi, Amy.
Thank you for being here. We got a lot of people laughing, but I don't see any questions right now. Is there anything else that you want to point out tonight that I might have missed it?
Yeah, I mean, I think we kind of covered the big stuff. I think just thinking about the balance and what works best for you and what works best for your family, and being okay with things, and knowing that it's not always, whatever decision you make about how you're going to plan or what you're going to say no to doesn't have to be a forever decision. This phase of life might look very different than life is going to look in 6 months. And so that's okay too. You're not committing yourself to a lifelong organizational system or, schedule or even the kind of work you're doing or anything like that. So it's okay to change your mind.
Yeah, that's totally true. So if people want to find you and talk to you and get your opinion on something, what is the best way for them to reach you? Like social media, email? Do you want to share anything?
Yeah, sure. So I have a Facebook page, Perissos Therapy LLC. It's PERISSOS. Didn't think about how hard that was going to be to tell people when I picked the name, but obviously it's meaningful. So my email is liz@perissostherapy.com, and my website is also perissostherapy.com. And I do a blog on there where I talk a lot about managing stress and anxiety and the mental load and just kind of taking care of yourself and things like that. So feel free to check that out.
Yeah, they are great. I love your blogs. So thank you so much for being here tonight with us. And if you are watching, like somebody's watching and came here because of Liz, thank you so much for being here with us tonight. If you want to just give me a like, we plan this chat once a month, and I try to always have the women in focus and like how to help them and hold them accountable. So if you want to check it out, our page, you can just give us a like and you get notifications when I'm doing these things, this chat. I know that next month we're going to be doing something about the playroom and how to help the kids to get focused when they're playing. So those are all things that are connected with organization. But also
definitely one of your specialties, playrooms, right?
yeah, yes, I love them.
He lives and breathes this stuff, so she definitely lives it in her own life, whatever she's teaching her clients.
Yeah. So our guest next week, no, next month, it's gonna be something about that. So stay tuned. I'm gonna post the dates and everything in a week or so. But thank you so much for being here, Liz, again, and
Thank
for you
you.
guys to watch. And if you get the replay later, just give us a like. And if you have any questions, you can like post like here, and maybe Liz can check it out, and you can tag Liz. And if you have any question about, is that okay, Liz?
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully, I'm just thinking
Yeah.
the technology piece. Hopefully, I can get that going stronger than the beginning
Yeah.
of the evening.
Okay. Yeah. So if somebody has any questions, they can post here, and we can get to it later.
Sounds
Okay.
good.
Thank you so much, you guys. Have a good night.
Thank you. Bye, Dee. Bye, guys.
Bye.